because I forgot to bring blue tack. Gonna stick up my bloody pieces of paper.
These all are the A110s, aren't they, in the Europa Cup?
Yeah.
Cool, because I've spoken to Alpine a lot about that. So.
Oh, good. We can talk about that then. What the hell is that?
Pit lane's live, so no one's allowed to run across it. And actually, on the first laps of races, you're never allowed there, won't you? You have to.
Oh, and they start there. Didn't know that.
Oh, that's going to be confusing for us.
So they start on the run down to Eau Rouge. Yes, that makes sense, I suppose, because their pit lane is there.
Yeah, the sports car straight. We are ready.
Ready? Okay, I think it's here now.
You know who is Danny Kloss?
Yeah, we've got him.
We can chat a lot about him.
It's broken. Yeah, actually.
Everyone in the media centre will hear our awful French accents.
No. Hi, Harry here. Just tell me when to go.
Alpine or Alpine?
Alpine. Well, good morning from well, we're into the afternoon now, actually, I should say. It's all lots of racing action so far here in Belgium. We're in a hot and sunny Spa-Francorchamps. We're in Belgium for round 3 of the Alpine Europa Cup. 16 identical Alpine A110 Cup cars racing around this historic circuit. 7 miles, as you can see there. 25 minutes and 1 lap await us of racing action. 25 degrees centigrade air temperature. The track temperature is really going up though, 41 degrees now, and going up and up. 7 kilometers, 3.3 miles, 19 turns await our drivers, 10 right and 9 left. And we've got some exciting action coming your way. The grid is set as well. If you're new to the championship, the way this works is that there's no pit stops and they all race identical cars. We have one guest driver each week in the number 110 car, and this week it is none other than Spaniard Danny Kloss, who many will know from his Formula One days as a reserve driver and a Friday practice driver for the HRT Hispania racing team. He's here this week and actually it lines up 4th on the grid. So great to see Danny Kloss joining the championship as our guest driver this weekend. Up in the commentary box, my name is Harry Benjamin. Thank you very much for your company. Looking forward to this afternoon's race. Alongside me is Elliot Wood, who will be guiding us all through the action as well. Elliot, something new for me, certainly, but very excited for what the Alpine Europa Cup has to offer us. It looks like it's going to be some exciting racing. It's a very tight season already, particularly at the top. We've had 2 rounds so far in France, and now we're here in Belgium. It's all to play for.
Yeah, and we've got a great mix of drivers. Some obviously we've got Danny Kloss, we've got young junior single-seater stars who've switched across, some almost veterans, the single-make sports car scene, and a very, very long circuit to go racing on.
Yeah, well, it'll be Jean-Baptiste Mello, who they will all want to catch. He's currently leading the way in the standings, 60 points to his name after, quite frankly, dominant 2 races in Magny-Cours. Last time out, pole position, first place in race 1, and then another pole position and first place in race 2. So he currently leads the way with 60 points to his name. Lilu Wadu, though, is just 10 points behind in 50 points, with 50 points, showing that consistency really benefiting her. Laurent Hergon currently in 3rd. Hugo Deville is in 4th, and Louis Merrick currently in the top 5. We'll run you through that as and when we go. But the grid just starting to take up some shape there. We're not using the usual main straight in Spa. We're using the sports car straight because the Alpine cars are located in the slightly different pit lane just to your left there, which sort of bends round from the main pit lane. So they'll be starting there in the run-up to Eau Rouge. So that's going to be spicy. And Eau Rouge, of course, very, very famous corner. We'll see how they fare there. But let's go through your starting grid then. It's Laurent Hergon who starts on pole. pole ahead of Hugo Deville and Lilo Wadu in third. Danny Kloss, a great drive from him on his guest appearance in fourth. Jean-Baptiste Mello, our current reigning championship leader, is in fifth. Louis Merrick, sixth. Simone Thurman is seventh. Corentin Thiers, 8th, and Gazia Redest in 9th. Lauren Richard, the first of the gentleman drivers, occupying the top 10 spot. And then it will be Pierre Macchi, Gregory Romano, Luc Rosenzweig, Stefan Oriacombe, and Lucas Freysinet, the last of the junior runners, currently 15th. And Stefan Prout will go from last place on the grid in 16th spot. But it will be Laurent Hergon who will lead them away on this formation lap. It will be a rolling start as well, so when they come back round, we will be going racing, but still 7 kilometres to get through before they do that behind the Alpine A110 Cup. Safety car, which will lead them all round as they try and warm up their tyres. But yes, Laurent Hergon going from in the number 69 Alpine in the number 1 spot currently for the LS Group Autosport GP team. The French driver in 2018, he came 8th overall. He's also done a bit of GT4 Cup Pro-Am action in France with a win to his name. Again in 2019 in the Europa Cup was 6th. 2019 French GT4 Cup Pro-Am. A few more podiums to his name, and then last year in the Alpine Europa Cup he came 2nd overall with 1 win, 8 podiums and 2 pole positions. So he'll be certainly wanting to start this weekend in Spa with a win to try and close that gap to Jean-Baptiste Mello, who is our reigning champion, really, the 2020 Alpine Europa Cup champion. 5 wins, 9 podiums and 4 pole positions to his name last year. Double junior champion as well. He's now made the step up to a fully fledged driver, and really great to be supported by Alpine this year. And of course the highest junior in the Alpine Europa Cup actually receives an official test in the Signatec Alpine LMP2 prototype car. So there is all to play for here, as well as some prize packages up and down the grid. Here's a little at how this weekend will work. We've already had 2 free practice sessions of 40 minutes and 2 qualifying sessions of 20 minutes. This is the first of our sprint races. It will be 25 minutes and a lap, and we will do the same again on Sunday. So 2 lots of races for you to enjoy. And as you might have guessed, the drivers are split into categories. We've got the general drivers and also the junior drivers who will be aged 25 or less, and the gentleman drivers who have a mixture of professional and amateur racing experience and have to be aged over 25. So really tight battles. It's a really close grid. These cars are all the same Alpine A110 Cup cars, 4 cylinders, 1.8 litre, 16 V with 270 horsepower cars. So there's a lot of grunt behind these Alpines, Elliot.
Yeah, they rear-wheel drive as well. I think Olin shock absorbers, spec Michelin tyres, very good, well-developed gearboxes as well. Basically, although they look a little bit like the Alpine A110 road car, very much a made-for racing car.
As they start to bunch up now as we head down into the bus stop chicane, and they will come round and onto the main straight, and then they will line up properly and get away for the first racing lap, really. The Alpine medical car and safety car will peel off into the pit lane. That will allow Laurent Hergon and Hugo Deville to be the first 2 cars on your picture. Laurent Hergon in the black Alpine on the left-hand side, and Hugo Deville in the number 27 on the right-hand side as we come now through the slowest corner on the track, the bus stop chicane. That looks like the safety car has peeled in to the pit lane, and it will be Laurent Hergon who will come round the bus stop chicane. All 5 red lights will go out when they get to the line, and we will get to go racing here for race 1 of the Alpine Europa Cup Championship, and we are away and racing. We've already got a number, that is Jean-Baptiste Mello, all the way out on the grass there on the far left of your picture. It looks like though Hugo Deville might be able to come around the outside of Laurent Hergon. Can he get it done there? No, Laurent Hergon holds on to P1 currently. It looks like thankfully Jean-Baptiste Mello was able to get back on to a bit of the tarmac there after being forced out wide. All 4 wheels onto the grass going into La Source. That is not a place you want to be through Eau Rouge. Now, who dares to go down 2 by 2? Jean-Baptiste Mello, not scared by his little excursion there, goes side by side there to get past Danny Kloss, the guest driver there, who will be right onto the back of him as we go down the Kemmel Straight. Everyone seems to have made it through safely. That's the number 2 car in the background. That will be Luc Rosentveit for the BL Sport car, gentleman driver, trying to gain a few places down at the Kemmel Straight. Who's made the most of the slipstream there? It looks like they're all playing fairly nicely as well. Laurent Hergon still leading the way from Hugo Deville. Lilo Wadu, though, really hounding Deville there. The second of the junior drivers trying to get alongside. We've got a little battle here just in front of Jean-Baptiste Mello. In the orange car there, we've got the blue and white Alpine in front of him. That will be, I think, Danny Kloss in the blue car there, and holding on in front of Jean-Baptiste Mello. Couldn't quite get past Lilo Wadu. But all action in these first few corners, but seemingly all made it through relatively unscathed.
Yeah, pretty incredible stuff there as they come down to pit. The top 6 are broken away from the rest of the field. Top 2 even a little gap there. I don't think any of them can go side by side here. But brilliant job by Mello after being forced wide. I think he was almost on opposite lock going down the pit straight, and then managed to keep it going into the source. So we've got a great race ahead of ourselves.
Well, I spoke to Danny Kloss earlier today, and he said, you know, pole was there, but some of the other teams in front of us were able to slipstream each other during qualifying, which meant, because he's a lone horse in some respects, as he's a guest one-off driver this weekend, he had to make do with 4th, so he'll be desperate to try and get on the overall podium. Watch out for Danny Kloss, just 1.9 seconds back as we come towards the end of this final lap. Let's take you through the top 10. It's Hergon, Wadu, De Wilde, Danny Kloss, Jean-Baptiste Mello, Louis Merrick, Gazir Redest, who is currently occupying 7th spots, and then it's Corentin Thiers, Simone Thurman and Lauren Richard, the top 10. That is the number 44 car of Lilo Wadu, though, looking very much down the inside of Laurent Hergon. Can't get it done into the bus stop chicane. Meanwhile, the number 27 car of Hugo Deville holding on in front of Danny Kloss, who is not willing to give up the fight for 2nd place here. 3rd place, I should say. Jean-Baptiste Mello, though, our reigning champion, going to have to watch out for him. And actually, he's now coming under pressure from the number 31, Louis Merrick, who had a good run out last time in France in Magny-Cours for round 2 of the Alpine Elf Europa Cup. He can't quite do anything about it at the moment. He's just in front of Gazir Redest, the second of the female drivers on this grid, who will also be making her race debut in W Series this year for a couple of races, making a stand-in reserve driver role there for her. So currently occupying 7th in the number 3, but it's Hergon, Wadu and De Wilde. Now, slipstream here down this Kemmel Straight is going to be such a big factor. Wadu absolutely blinking her lights to try and make any kind of advantage she can. Meanwhile, Danny Kloss can't quite hold on to 4th place. He has to give it up, but he's going to fight back against Jean-Baptiste Mello. There's a little bit of a touch there, and that sends Danny Kloss nearly off into the grass and into the gravel. He manages to keep it in for the next right-hander, but that hopefully he gets away with minimal damage there, but he's lost 2 places there because that allowed Louis Merrick to get through as well. So Danny Kloss, unfortunately, down to 6th spot now, just behind Louis Merrick and Jean-Baptiste Mello, who is currently occupying 4th, I should say, in the orange car. So currently Hergon, Wadu and De Wilde, your top 3, just 1.1 seconds covering the top 3. They said it was close racing, they're not wrong.
Yeah, and I just saw it going through the back of the shot there, almost drifting through Pouhon. One of the cars behind. These cars, you know, they do have quite a bit of power, but, you know, at Spa-Francorchamps, you just push into the edge all the time. And Meyer was, I think, the 2nd fastest driver through the 1st sector, was compromised in the 2nd sector as he went past Danny Kloss, but he's definitely the driver to watch right now. And actually, here's a replay of the completion, the move. He just about left him enough racing space as he kind of changed direction and go to the right, but you know, Danny Kloss won't be happy with that.
No, I was actually worried a little bit. I thought that might have affected his steering because he stayed straight there for a little bit too long, but then managed to get it turned into the right-hander. But he now looks like he's back up to pace and hounding Louis Merrick. You can see there the losers and the gainers. Who's gained the most is Oriacum down 11th, who's gained 3 spots. And you can see there Danny Kloss has lost 2 spots, sadly, in 6th. But now we're watching the number 3 car there. A little bit further back, that's Gazir Redest fighting her way through the field, defending from Corentin Thiers.
Terce was the one who was drifting through pit 1 and pretty much on the bumper of Rodest through Blanchimont, so really pushing right now. Top 6 still got a gap. I think the battle for 7th is going to be the one to watch right now.
Yeah, currently occupied by Rodest there. You can see her in the number 3 Chazelle Technology course car, the 28-year-old from Poland, Masovia, and the two-time Dubai 24-hour winner as well. So she knows her way around a race car, both with a roof over her head and in a single-seater. So she'll be trying to hold on to 7th place. As you said, Corentin Thiers currently occupying 8th behind her, and Simon Thurman, another junior driver there, fighting it out for 7th, because as you said, the top 6 have actually started to create a little bit of a gap away. Hergon leads with 4/10 from Wadu Deville in 3rd, Mella 4th, Merrick 5th. And the fastest lap, though, goes to Lilo Wadu in that Patrick Roger Autosport GP at 2:34.8. So she is absolutely fighting her way. She wants this win, because looking at her previous results here, Lilo Wadu, so in round 1, Nogara, she came 3rd in the junior category, 3rd overall, I should say, and 2nd overall in both the races. And then again in Magny-Cours came 5th and 3rd. So she's nothing but consistent, but she's missing that race win. I'm sure she'll take a 2nd place, but just 4/10 between her and Hergon, and she will want that win. She can taste it. It's right there in front of her. As she gets a little bit squiggly under braking, maintains that gap of 4/10 as Hergon really clatters the inside curve there, bringing up a bit of dust. There's a nice battle there. I think that's Kloss trying to chase down Merrick in front of him. So Danny Kloss not giving up without a fight either. Louis Merrick in the number 31 being hounded there by the guest driver in the 1/110, Danny Kloss. Now a sensational YouTuber in Spain, does a lot of testing of race cars, and of course a brilliant junior category as well in Formula 2, with those test drives in Formula 1 as well. Didn't quite work out for him in F1, but that has not stopped him from carving out an excellent career for himself. As we come now into the final sector here, can he carry enough speed, Danny Kloss? He's going to have to make a move at some stage into the late braking zone, as is Wadu. Is she going to try and dive down the inside of Hergon? Hergon sees it coming and covers it going into the bus stop chicane, but I'll tell you, doesn't see it coming. Merrick, who can't do anything about Danny Kloss, coming down the inside into the bus stop chicane. Danny Kloss now back up in front of Louis Merrick. The charge continues for the Spaniard, who gets himself up into 5th, and now to chase down the reigning champion in the orange number 1 car, Jean-Baptiste Mello. But I don't think Louis Merrick will want to give up without a fight. This is the battle for 5th position. Looked a little bit squiggly on entry there from Danny Kloss, manages to get it turned in. But the man in front of him has just set the fastest lap, so he's still got some work to do to try and catch him. Jean-Baptiste Mello trying to close in on Hugo Deville, about half a second back currently. Needs to find a few more tenths. Can he find it on this Kemmel straight? Looked like he got a great exit, as did Louis Merrick. Great exit out of Eau Rouge. That will force both Danny Kloss in the blue car in the background, and then the number 27 car, that is Hugo Deville, to try to stay in front of Jean-Baptiste Mello. Danny Kloss hounding the inside, having to defend again from Louis Merrick further back. We'll see who comes out on top there. I think Danny Kloss has managed to hold on to 5th, and it looks like Laurent Hergon in the 69 still putting his car in all the right places, because Lilo Wadu struggling to find a way through.
Yeah, and the more they're doing that, the battle of 3rd and 4th is going to get closer to them, between Deville and Mayo, pretty much bumper to bumper, but they are lapping around, well, over a second faster actually, and the fastest lap was set by Mayo on the previous lap. 5th and 6th at the back of the shot. Danny Kloss looking very racy there. Track limits isn't quite an issue yet, but I do think once the drivers have taken a bit more life out the tyres, we're going to see them sliding way out of the, the curbing.
You're right, and that battle for 3rd though, and even the battle for 1st, you can see it 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th, it's really close. 1 and 2 stuck together like magnets, as are 3 and 4. Currently Mello right on the back now of Deville, as is Kloss and Merrick. They're still together as well, and then there's a little bit further gap to Gauzier Rodest, who is about 3.9 seconds back, currently occupying 7th in front of Thiers. And then we get to the gentleman driver battle further back in the pack, but that looks like a very good exit from Lilo Wadu. Can she get that inside line? It will be the outside of the next corner into Blanchimont. Can she hold her nerve and stay round the outside of Laurent Hergon? Yes, she absolutely can, and she gets the move done even before they go through the corner. What a fantastic move by Lilo Wadu to get the race lead before they've even gone through Blanchimont into the braking zone now of the bus stop chicane, and she holds that lead from Laurent Hergon. Brilliant stuff there from Lila Wadu for Patrick Roger Autosport GP. The junior driver, just 20 years old, done a bit of TCR Europe action as well as the Europa Cup last year, finished 7th overall, now leads this race and is on for her first win this season, but she's still got 14 minutes and a lap, and I don't think Laurent Hergon's going to want to give that up without a fight.
Yeah, we've now got a top 4 covered by 1.8 seconds, so going down the Kemmel Straight, it's going to be incredibly close. Danny Kloss has actually broken away from Merrick in 6th place, so he's going to be wanting to get back in on this, and looking way further back, the gentleman battle lead there, currently in 10th place, half a second between the top 2 drivers in that class, so we've got battles all across the field right now.
And this is the closest though, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, all in the same picture down the Kemmel Straight. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, all very close together. We do have a new race leader though, Lila Wadu managing to get the lead before Blanchimont away from Laurent Hergon with a really, really brave move round the outside. And now is actually starting to pull away a little bit from Hergon. Meanwhile, Hugo Deville is actually doing a very good job of defending from Jean-Baptiste Mello, who does look like the quicker driver. He's quicker in the speed traps, but not finding a way through currently at the moment. Then it's Danny Kloss, who, as you said, has managed to break away now, nearly a second gap to the number 31 black car of Louis Merrick, who's sort of all on his own a little bit, because then it's 5 seconds back to Gazir Rodest. So Danny Kloss now coming into the fight for 3rd with Jean-Baptiste Mello and Hugo Deville, as we're now watching Gazir Rodest and Corentin Ters and Simone Thurman in this is the battle for 7th, which is a little bit detached, but they are hounding each other. Currently having to defend for her life is Gazir Rodest, because Corentin Ters and actually Simone Thurman looks like he's the fastest one of them all. But no, I say that, it's Corentin Ters who's just gone fastest in the first sector in the number 11 car there, trying to find a way. He's got the hardest job, because he's got to try and find a way through on Rodest, but also not let Tierce through either, not let Thurman through either. So Tierce with it all to do. That's the worst place to be in the sandwich. Yeah,
it looks like Tierce is just carrying more speed into corners and then letting the rear end slip out behind him, but he just looks very comfortable driving it like that. So he shouldn't worry as they come up to Blanchimont. He's not going to go for the outside, is he? Surely
she
not.
Covers it. Gazir Rodest covers that outside line. He has to get
up
onto the brake, and he gets a little bit squiggly on exit from Blanchimont. I don't think he wants to lift his foot there from the accelerator. The Rodest then taking the inside line into the bus stop chicane. Can the number 11 car do the old up and under, and Tierce get better traction coming out onto the main straight and try and pick up a bit of slipstream into the braking zone of Les Saulces? Don't forget Thurman just behind in that number 8 car, but at the moment in 7th it is Rodest they're coming through in the blue car, then Tierce and then Thurman in 9th. Great battles up and down the field, with Tierce getting a little bit wide on entry there,
yeah.
Staying there. Was he getting caught out by the sausage curb?
Potentially, well, the curbs helped him coming into through Blanchimont because it bounced him back onto the track. But I think he might have a brake bias thing, because literally as he touched the brakes, the rear end kind of jumped around going into the source. And we've now got the lead battle again. There is so many cars in this battle. We've still got 11 minutes to go.
11 minutes, 12 seconds plus 1 lap, and the top 6 are all in the same shot coming down the Kemmel Straight. And Wadu having taken the lead, we've cut back to this battle for 7th there. Gazir Rodest leading in the blue car, and that is Corentin Ters having to go on the defensive now from Simone Thurman, who's going to have the stronger line coming out through there, through Lecombe, and down now into the second half, the second part of this track, trying to carry as much speed through the corner with No Name now approaching. And then down into Pooh on that long double left-hander, negative camber as well. A real screecher on the tyres. And of course, there's no tyre changes here, so you've got to make them last to the very end. And the heat not helping with that either, as we come now through Pooh on into that long double left-hander. But it is, as it all stands, it's still Rodest in 7th, Tierce 8th, and Thurman 9th. But Thurman looking ever closer to the number 11 Tierce car, who is actually fallen back a bit now from Rodest, who is just about hanging on in there, but she doesn't quite have the same pace to be up there with the leaders at the moment. Wadu, Hergon, Deville, Mello, Kloss and Merrick, your top 6, and then we get this battle, Rodest, Tierce and Thurman. That's the beauty of realised about this championship that you get battles up and down, but there's sort of little pockets of battles, which is actually it's great for us because then we can identify who's who more easily.
Yeah, and with the driving styles as well. I mean, Tierce is a very interesting one to watch, both in the high-speed corners and in the low-speed ones, particularly when he goes under braking. Is he going on the brakes before Blanchimont as well? So he is carrying quite a lot of speed into there. Must be a setup thing, but this battle's been raging on all race. We've still got 0.3 seconds between the top two. Have just gone past our commentary box window. The lead battle is actually closer than it has been for the last 2 laps.
Yes.
Going to the first corner.
Although Wadu was starting to take a bit of time out of Hergo, it looks like he's clawed that back, but we are focusing on this battle here for 7th now. So it looks like Redest is clearing away ever so slightly from Tierce, who was hounding her. Tierce, I think, struggles in that first sector, but then he comes alive in the second and third sector and is right on the back of Redest into the bus stop chicane, but just can't find a way through on the Polish driver. As we watch Danny Kloss come through our pictures there, the guest driver, 32-year-old Spaniard, GP2 in 2010, 4 podiums, 1 win. 2012 was the HRT F1 team test driver. Done a bit of European Le Mans action as well. Into the brakes through at the end of the Kemmel Straight through Lecombe, all over the back of Jean-Baptiste Mello. He has a little look down the inside. That's going to force Mello to go a little bit outside. All shaky coming out of that corner down. And we lose it just there. I want to know who came out on top there, but we're going back to the battle for 7th, of course, which is really heating up now because it is, as I said, it's Tierce struggles in that first sector, but then works his way up, and then in the second sector is right onto the back of Redest again, coming into the corner with no name and through to the final sector. Yeah,
he just has so much confidence. He doesn't care where the car's being thrown around. He'll just do it. And I think Mello had to hit the brakes coming out of Lecombe's, trying to go around the inside of Piron, thinks better of it. This battle was... See, Danny Kloss was around 2 seconds back a few laps ago. 5-second penalty for car 44 track limits. That's our leader. That's Wadu. So that's not only going to lose at the lead, that's going to throw it all the way down to 5th place behind Danny Kloss.
Wadu with a 5-second time penalty there for track limits, as we see Danny Kloss though all over the back. He does look like the faster car with Jean-Baptiste Mello in the orange Alpine Europa Cup car in front of him. Can Mello hold him back 7 minutes, just over 7 minutes, plus 1 lap to go here. Our race leader has a 5-second time penalty. That will drop her out of the top 5 if things progress as they do. And this is the battle now for 4th and 5th. Jean-Baptiste Mello coming through Blanchimont into the bus stop chicane. Has to take that inside line to defend from Danny Kloss. That's going to give him a weak exit. He goes slightly deep, and that's really going to compromise him on the exit. Danny Kloss going to be able to carry a lot more speed and get right onto the rear bumper of that car as they go into La Source. Here is the battle for 7th. It is Redest, I should say, in 7th. Still holding on there as we come to the next lap. And let's have a look at what happened here. This is the number 2, Luke Rosenzweig. Oh, and then we have a split, just losing it. That's the number 33, I think, by the looks of it. That is Gregory Romano. A couple of gentleman drivers having a little battle there. Romano finding the grass, but crucially, not the wall. And here, though, is your race lead. And I'm sure his team would have told Hergon that, don't worry, the car in front of you, the race leader, has a 5-second time penalty, and currently the top 6 are covered by, or the top 4 are covered by less than 2 seconds. So that's going to drop her out of the podium position as Danny Kloss has looked down the inside at the end of the straight, and they have a door-to-door battle that forces Jean-Baptiste Mello to cut across the track, but that's still going to mean Danny Kloss slides on through into 5th, into 4th, whether he'll be able to keep that or not. And now Jean-Baptiste Mello has got a little bit of damage there, bodywork damage, rubbing against the tyre and causing a bit of steam there. He's going to be fuming about that as Danny Kloss now starts to try and edge away and catch up to 3rd place of Hugo Deville. But Jean-Baptiste Mello, that smoke seems to have stopped. Oh no, it's still going on there. So that's going to have an effect on his car performance.
Yeah, that's only going to get worse and worse. So he almost wants to just go back into the pits and get it sorted. Here's a replay.
Here's how it happened, and I'm afraid to say, I think Jean-Baptiste, he had the racing line, but Danny Kloss was well alongside of him, so was entitled to have the space there, and it looks like Mello just turned in on him. And Danny Kloss didn't really have anywhere else to go, I would argue, and that's caused the damage there for the front right of Jean-Baptiste Mello. Bodywork rubbing against the tyre, presumably causing a little bit of smoke, and as you say, that is getting worse and worse by the minute. We'll see if he can hold on for 4 minutes and 43 seconds plus 1 lap. But he's losing time to Danny Kloss, who is now stretching that gap in fourth, trying to catch Hugo Deville, because if he plays his cards right and he gets down under the 5.3 second gap, he could be on for a podium once we're due. Our race leader has her 5-second time penalty applied for track limits. More time penalties through. Cars 44, 3. That's number 3 is Gazia Radest, the battle for 7th. She's had a time penalty. Then number 11, that is Corentin Thiers.
Well, Radest has now dropped to 13th, so we've missed something there in the battle for 7th.
And then number 63, that's Stefan Oriacum. And number 18, that is Pierre Mackie. But the big one out there, Gazia Radest, has dropped down to 13th from 7th and has a penalty. So we'll see and try and figure out what happened to her. But after such a great start from Leila Wadou, from 2nd on the grid, and then holding on to Laurent Hergon and then taking the lead spectacularly, that is gutting. But track limits are there for a reason, and you have to respect them, otherwise you will be given a penalty, and she will lose out because of that. But let's see how far she can get. At the moment, it is Leila Wadou leading from Laurent Hergon. Hugo Deville in 3rd. Danny Kloss is in 4th. Jean-Baptiste Mello 5th. Louis Merrick 6th. Simon Thurman is 7th. Corentin Thiers 8th. Laurent Richard in 9th. And Stefan Oriacum round out your top 10. First of the gentleman drivers at the moment is Laurent Richard, ahead by quite some margin, about 4.2 seconds of Stefan Oriacum, 9th and 10th overall. As a gap is now starting to form actually between all of these drivers as we watch on the number 27 Alpine Europa Cup car, Hugo Deville in 3rd. So they were very tightly packed together, but towards the end of this race now starting to have a bit of disparity between each car. And that might favour Leila Wadou and able to claw back a few spots, but I think she's almost certain, if it continues the way it is, to lose out on that first place if she can cross the line in first. Laurent Hergon, all he needs to do is just hold on into 2nd, which he's doing currently quite well, 6/10 back, matching lap times as well. A little bit slower on that last lap, but only by less than 1/10 of a second. And then Danny Kloss is hounding them now. He wants a taste of the podium in 5th. He's 5.4 seconds back from Hugo Deville. So if Danny Kloss can't... Oh, we have a spinner. Number 2 has spun. That is Luc Rosenzweig. Getting it all wrong, but able to keep the car running. But actually, now looking at the way the timings are going, Leila Wadou might still be able to hang on to 3rd place, because it's 3.4 seconds back to Hugo Deville, and then 5.2 seconds back to Danny Kloss, who's in 4th. But if Danny Kloss starts hounding Hugo Deville and able to catch up time, I think we will see Wadou fall out from the podium positions. But hey, it's all still to play for with 1.5 minutes plus 1 lap. But you can see there, Elliot, the gap's really starting to widen out now.
Yeah, and Mello's still in 5th place, remarkably. Now, he was the points leader coming into this race. Not quite sure if he will be coming out of it, although with the penalty for Wadou, that's going to help his title prospect significantly as well. So, very interesting points battle occurring here. With 2 laps to go pretty much. A little bit of breaks there going into Eau Rouge. It's been a very entertaining race, hasn't it?
It really has been. Great battles up and down. And not just, well, having the top 6, it's such a long circuit as well. One of the longest on the calendar here. At 7 kilometres, 3.3 miles, 19 turns, 10 right, 9 left. You know, it's very difficult to stay within these close gaps throughout, you know, a sustained period of time. And it's only now in these last couple of laps where the gaps are now starting to come at about a second, 1.1 between the top 2. Then it's 2.1, then a further 2 seconds back to our 4th place man, Danny Kloss. But when they come across the line again, they will have one more lap, and that will be the final lap for race 1 of the Alpine Elf Europa Cup. Here for round 3 in Spa, the first of 2 races. We'll also travel to Barcelona as well after this. Portugal on the calendar as well. So a brilliant calendar for us this season. Supporting the International GT Open this weekend. We'll then go on to support the 24 Hours of Spa as well. So we'll be back. 24 Hours of Barcelona, I should say. So we'll be back here as one of the number 2. That's the gentleman driver of Luc Rosenzweig, who had a few issues just getting out of the way nicely for Lila Wadu, who is able to sort of stretch that gap now. So this could well help her. 1.1 seconds between the top 2. She's doing everything she can to try and hold on to a podium, because it's been such a sublime drive from her. To lose out on the win would be really such a shame, because that move round just before Blanchimont going around the outside there, it's always a risky move anyway, but she held on through and managed to get the job done and held it and started to pull a gap. 1.7 seconds now. She could do this. Maybe not the win, but she could still hold on for a podium.
Definitely, I think Hugo Deville hasn't necessarily got the pace to match her at the moment, so that 4.2 second gap could extend to at least 4.6. Very interesting at 5. She goes all out in this final lap and does, take back that position, then that'd be a brilliant, brilliant result.
Has Lila Wadu left enough in the tank, enough in her tyres to try and claw out maybe even another second gap in this final lap? She has a 5-second time penalty for track limits, which means she will lose out on her hard-fought win.
And Danny Kloss has now got a penalty as well.
And Danny Kloss, who has now also got a time penalty for track limits. I think there's going to be a lot of angry drivers there, and a brilliant result for him, because he was looking at Hugo Deville there going to La Source for P3. Danny Kloss currently back where he started in 4th, but a very a strong drive from the guest driver, but he'll be gutted with that. 5 seconds, that will set him back a fair way as well. Danny Kloss has just got to give it all he's got in this final lap. There is the top 4 all in your picture, and then Jean-Baptiste Mello, who after his dominant display in Magny-Cours hasn't quite been able to match that speed this weekend, but a consistent drive for him that'll do him well in the long term for the championship, which he currently leads 60 points to Lila Wadu in 50. Laurent Hergon currently with 47 points in 3rd, but that will all change around once they cross the last lap, which is now final lap. Wadu, Hergon, Deville, Kloss, Mello, your top 5, and there is Danny Kloss in the 110 guest car. Bruce Journet occupying that last time out, the Top Gear France co-host, and this week Danny Kloss occupying that spot, and there is confirmation on your screens, a 5-second time penalty for Danny Kloss for track limits. I think there'll be a few words from some of the drivers at the end of that. And number 31, actually, that's Louis Merrick, also with a time penalty. Merrick currently in 6th. So what if they all get penalties? It could all even out, because that's the way it's going at the moment. But Lila Wadu has managed to extend to 2.3 seconds now. She has left enough in the tank for this final lap, so we'll see where she goes come the end of this lap, and that'll be the end of race 1.
And done it. Hugo Deville is 5 seconds behind our second sector, so she is currently provisionally in 2nd place. It's by 0.008 seconds right now, with about 1.5 kilometres to go of this track. She's got to absolutely nail these final few corners to guarantee a 2nd place, which is odd given she'll be the first driver to meet the checkered flag. But very entertaining.
Lila Wadu, who didn't start in 1st but took it in spectacular fashion, comes through the bus stop chicane. She had a 5-second time penalty for track limits. She will miss out on the win despite crossing the checkered flag first, but crucially she is 3 seconds ahead of our race winner Hugo Deville, who will come home 2nd on the road but will take the win. And that means Lila Wadu, did she do enough? I don't think she didn't do enough for 2nd, but she's come home in 3rd, because Hugo Deville did manage to hold on to 2nd. Laurent Hergon will take the win ahead of Deville. Wadu, who crossed the line 1st, comes home in 3rd. Danny Kloss will come home on the road in 4th. We'll see when that penalty gets applied where he goes. Jean-Baptiste Mello and Louis Merrick in 6th. Then it's Terman and Tierce, Terman winning out of that tight battle for 7th. Tierce in 8th, Francine in 9th, and Richard in 10th. Where did Gauzier Rodeste end up? She was down in 12th in the end of all that. So with the penalties being applied, that moves Jean-Baptiste Mello up to 4th. Danny Kloss down into 5th. Louis Merrick did enough to stay in 6th. So despite crossing the line 1st, Lila Wadu will not take her 1st win of the season due to a time track limit penalty, but it will be this man, Laurent Hergon, in the number 69 LS Group Autosport GP car, is your winner. of race one, the Frenchman who finished runner-up last year in the Alpine Europa Cup with 1 win, 8 podiums and 2 pole positions. He gets another win on the board this weekend. A brilliant way to start his race weekend here in Spa. First of the junior drivers, Hugo Deville coming home in second. And Lilo Wadu will wonder what could have been, but she will take some great promise from that. The win was hers, but sadly a penalty meant she finishes in third, still on the overall podium and second of the junior drivers. Jean-Baptiste Mello, our reigning title champion, comes home in fourth after a penalty being applied to Danny Kloss, who comes home in fifth. Louis Merrick, third in the junior category, comes home sixth. Simon Thurman in seventh, Corentin Thiers eighth, Lucas Freycinet in ninth, and Laurent Richard in 10th. And a very happy man, Laurent Hergon there. Confirmation of the results there, but it will be a well-deserved win because Laurent Hergon did do everything he can to stay with Lilo Wadu and in front, crucially, of Hugo Deville. But a great podium there, and Hugo Deville, of course, in his home race will be very happy, as will the Herrero racing team, to come home second and first in the junior category here on home turf for them. And then a little further down, outside the top 10, Stéphane Aurier-Combe in 11th, Gazir Radetz 12th, Pierre Macchi 13th, Gregory Romano, who had a couple of spins, came home 14th, Stéphane Prou in the other Herrero racing car 15th, and Luc Rosenzweig, who also had a couple of spins, comes home last. And in 16th place. A bit of a chat there from Hugo Deville. And there is Stéphane Aurier-Combe, who seems very, very happy with his day's work. Why not? Coming home as the second of the gentleman drivers. 11th overall, but second, and he was only a few seconds in the end behind Laurent Richard, who takes the win in the gentleman category. I think that means he's very happy, so we'll go with that. But one thing's for certain, this Alpine Elf Europa Cup, the championship is only heating up because there is tight racing up and down the field. And some of the drivers get out their car to build there. Well done all round. We wait for the podium ceremonies. A little debrief at the end of that. I think a lot of drivers will be wondering, won't they, about the track limits issues because so many penalties were applied at the end. But I suppose, you know, the rules are written, as we always say, and if you exceed those rules, then you're going to be penalised. So there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, and I think drivers should know that, you know, once you take so much life out of the tyre, it's going to start sliding. And you're going to have to be more cautious going into the corners, otherwise you will just drift outside of the limits.
Well, let's take a look at how it all kicked off here for round one in Spa at the Alpine Europa Cup. Jean-Baptiste Mello there getting 4 wheels onto the grass in the background. He managed to make it through into La Source, but it was pole position man Laurent Hergon who managed to hold on to #1 spots in the first few laps, being absolutely hounded by the number 44 car of Lilo Wadu, who started to make her case for the win. Jean-Baptiste Mello in the orange car in the background, fighting hard with guest driver Danny Kloss as well in the 110 Alpine Elf Europa Cup car, actually forcing him out wide with a bit of touching there. Danny Kloss got his payback later on, and here was the spectacular move for the lead of the race. Lilo Wadu on the outside, getting it done before they even go into Blanchimont. She managed to hold that till the end of the race, and there was a battle further back. That was the number 33 car getting it all wrong and going into a little bit of a spin. Here's where Danny Kloss got a little bit of revenge and a little bump, playing bumper cars with Jean-Baptiste Mello. That gave actually Mello some damage that he had to carry to the end of the race. But Lilo Wadu managed to cross the line first, but sadly with a 5-second time penalty meant she couldn't stay on the podium, so Laurent Hergon managed to come home in first place ahead of Hugo Deville, and on our timing screen Jean-Baptiste Mello moving up into third spot ahead of Lilo Wadu. So more pain for Lilo, unfortunately for her. We'll get double confirmation of that, I think, but still a great drive from Lilo Wadu there, I think is fair to say. But Laurent Hergon managed to not put any wheels where they shouldn't have been to take the win. The leading junior driver, Hugo Deville, and Louis Merrick. Join us next time.